Today we're going to talk about using visual aids when you're online in a way that doesn't bore your audience but engages them. A lot of times you may see speakers have visual aids that maybe are boring or maybe unnecessary. Well, today you're going to pick up 5 tips that are going to help you when you're creating visual aids to make sure that they don't bore your audience and that they pull them in to your presentation as opposed to repelling them. Now, before we get started, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel for ongoing tips that are going to help you to become a better speaker, and there are also links below that will help you along the way as well. Now, a lot of times when I'm asked to help speakers prepare their presentations, they ask about visual aids. So I thought, let me do this video that will help you to know how to create your visual aids, and also not a tutorial on what to use or what to put in as far as a visual perspective goes, but rules to follow that will help you when you're preparing those visual aids. Tip number 1 comes from a story my mother told me the other day, actually. She was watching a show, The Doctors, and I have a young son here at home, and she comes over a couple times a week to help with babysitting, and it helps us out a lot, me and my wife. And one thing that she was saying to me is that she was watching the show called The Doctors on television, and one of the questions that came up, and there were new moms on the show, and they had asked some tips for helping the baby sleep through the night. And she was ready. She had her pen and paper ready to go because she was going to write down some of those tips and share them with us, because right now our son isn't sleeping every single night through the night. So she wanted to help out. And all the doctor said was, we're going to refer you to this doctor to work with you. So all that happened on the show was that the mother that was having problems with her baby got a referral to another doctor. No help at all to my mother watching the show. Which leads me to my first rule for visual aids: value. Make sure your slide provides value. If it's just a repetition of what you're saying, then ask yourself, is there any value provided over and above what I'm saying? So there should be value to your audience on your slide when you present it to the audience, whether that's online or in person. Tip number 2 is use pictures or videos over words. I mentioned having value only, but a lot of times people take this too far and they provide words and paragraphs full of value to the audience that just overwhelms them with words. So think about using pictures or videos. Are there pictures or videos that can illustrate your point, that you can explain over just having a bunch of words on the slide? Can you have a picture of something that leads to a story that you explain that helps your audience actually listen to you while your picture is in the background? So remember, the visual aid is just supposed to aid you, not replace you. So remember that. That's tip number 2. The third tip is try to elicit emotion with your slide. If your slide is a meme or it's something funny, something that makes people either feel, they laugh, or maybe they think or ponder something, ask yourself, is there an emotion tied to this slide? One slide I use in some of my presentations is one you may have seen before. It's a picture of a cat looking into the mirror, and in the mirror is a picture of a lion. So basically what the cat is doing is imagining himself as a lion. So it's about confidence. It's about looking in the mirror and feeling better about yourself than the actual reality or the way the world sees you. You feel better about yourself because you look in the mirror and the cat sees himself as a lion. What that does is, number 1, it's a picture, so I have to explain it, or I have something that I can add on to it. It doesn't just replace me. And number 2, it elicits emotion from your audience. It makes them think, you know what, okay, maybe I should look in the mirror that way. And it gives them a bit of hope, and it might make them laugh as well. So ask yourself, does my slide elicit emotion? Before we go on, comment below. Let me know what you've seen work and not work as far as visual aids go, and are these tips helpful to you? Tip number 4 is your slide should say, "Tell me more." What that means is, if the slide was there and you were not, would you be necessary? And the reason that's important is because you want the slide not to just be a tag along to what you're saying. You don't want to just put up a slide and just read it. You want the slide to have a piece of the puzzle, and then you as the speaker fills in the rest of the piece. So you go together. One doesn't replace the other. The slide just adds on, but has a requirement that you as a speaker explain and build upon what the slide is showing. And finally, the 5th and final tip is it necessary? Ask yourself that. A lot of times, and I've done this myself, I'll put a slide in just to put a slide in, or I'll put words on a slide. And another coach reminded me about that the other day. I had a slide that explained, or that was actually in me in uniform. I used to be a police officer, and the slide had me in uniform, and I was about to tell my story, and then I put words on the slide saying, "Here's my story," or something to that effect. And she said to me, "You know what? If you have the picture of you in uniform and you're telling your story, why do you need to put telling my story on the slide?" And she was right. Make sure that all the content that goes in your visual aids filters through that question. Is it necessary? Do you need the extra words on the slide? Do you need words on the slide? Do you even need the slide? Make sure you ask yourself that as you're preparing visuals for your presentation. So there you have it, the 5 tips to help you to create successful and engaging visual aids when you're presenting online, and of course it carries over in person as well. If you found these tips helpful, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Also, go to 52publicspeakingtips.com. The link is below, as well as a link to coach with me if you need help with your next speech, and we'll work together to make you the best speaker you can possibly be. Of course, if you like this video, make sure you watch these other videos and subscribe to the channel for ongoing tips and tricks that are going to help you to master the art of speaking.